সুপ্রভাত। বঙ্গ সম্মেলনে দাঁড়িয়ে আমি আপনাদের অনুমতি চাইব একটু ইংরেজিতে কথা বলার জন্য। কারণ হচ্ছে আমি এখানে দেখতে পাচ্ছি অনেক তরুণ প্রজন্মের বাঙালি সন্তান আছেন এবং দুইজন বিদেশিও আছেন। যেহেতু আমাদের উদ্দেশ্য হচ্ছে বিবেকানন্দের বাণীকে তাদের কাছে পৌঁছে দেওয়া, আপনাদের অনুমতি নিয়ে আমি একটু ইংরেজিতে বলছি। ধন্যবাদ। Sisters and brothers of Canada, America, India, Bangladesh, and all other countries, we have gathered here today to salute a great Bengali, Swami Vivekananda, on his 150th birth anniversary. Is this a mere show of respect to renowned Bengali, or is he relevant in today's world, in our current lives? These are the primary questions that I'll address today. It appears that the informed citizenry of our age have surrendered to the gloomy prospects of clash of civilization first proposed by Harvard professor Samuel Huntington in 1993, exactly 100 years after Vivekananda's speech in Chicago in 1893. Today, with the inspiration of Vivekananda, I want to offer an alternative to the grim picture of the clash and discuss the idea of friendship of civilization, not clash. What I intend to show today is how Vivekananda's ideas can help us create a new paradigm in this age of propaganda, where the agents of terror, bigotry, and violence are working hard to create and sustain a clash of civilizations. The realists among us may say that this clash is inevitable because of the nature of the things as they are, but the poet in us know that reality is in fact a creation. Age after age, the visionary men and women of religion and science alike proved that their faiths guided them to attain what seemed impossible by the evidence of fact. Today, in a terror-ridden world, we are in need of a greater call of faith, which will say to us, let us change the course of history by changing our mindset. And this is where Vivekananda becomes very relevant, because his ideas can change our mindset and altogether stop our march towards clash of civilization. Today, I would like to ask you to join me in an exploratory journey into the mind of Vivekananda. In this process, I'll tell you 3 stories that will help us understand the common background of humanity. Let me begin my first story. Thousands of years ago, man and woman emerged on the vast lonely theater of time and space on the planet Earth. They knew not the meaning of their destinies, nor were they able to make sense of their furies, of the thunderous storms, the devastating floods, and the angry fire. Then came a time when man and woman began to feel the mysterious presence of something sublime that baffled them in the joy of elevated thoughts. As they wandered endlessly about the rising and setting of the sun, gazed with bewilderment at countless stars in the night sky, and pondered the tossing and turning of ocean waves. Soon thereafter, men and women started worshipping God, because doing so gave meaning to their existence and made living valuable and tolerable. The worshipping of God remained constant among humans wherever they went, although variations in geography, climate, and human experience in different parts of the world gave rise to different methods of worship, which they named religion. Harvard's professor Samuel Huntington predicted that humankind was inevitably progressing towards a clash of civilization across the cultural and religious lines. Another Harvard professor and a great Bengali, Amartya Sen, opposed this grim worldview and brilliantly argued that man and women hold multiple identities, and classifying individuals according to a single religious identity is an expression of intellectual confusion that ignores the inherent diversity within each civilization. Amidst all these theorizations and disputation, God, in his infinite wisdom, chose few wise men and women to preach the need for peace among religions. These wise men and women began local and global meetings among worshippers of God of all religions, and they called these meetings interfaith dialogues. The first such international meeting of religions took place in 1893 in Chicago, USA. That's where my second story begins. On September 11, 1893, exactly 108 years before the September 11, 2011 attack in New York. A select audience of 7,000 people gathered in the lecture hall of the Art Institute of Chicago on 111 South Michigan Avenue. In a rain-swept morning, in the podium of that conference stood a man 5 feet 9 inches tall and 30 years old, with an orange turban wrapped around his head. He was from Bengal, India. He had an olive complexion and his eyes were large with prominent heavy lid. He bowed and said, "Sisters and brothers of America." Instantly, the magic of his rich and deep voice transformed the audience, moved to an overwhelming feeling of togetherness. The audience responded with a standing ovation that lasted for 2 minutes. When silence was restored, the young man from India continued his brief lecture, which focused on religious tolerance. He cited 2 immensely meaningful quotations. The first was a Sanskrit hymn. He said, "As the different streams having their sources in different places, all mingle their water in the sea, so, O Lord, the different path which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee." The second verse he cited was a verse from Bhagavad Gita. "Whoever comes to me through whatsoever form I reach him. All men are struggling through paths that in the end lead to me." The young man from Bengal was Swami Vivekananda. The US press dubbed him the Cyclonic Hindu monk of India for his oratory. The New York Herald wrote, "Vivekananda is undoubtedly the greatest figure in the Parliament of Religions." Swami Vivekananda lectured at many other places and won the hearts and minds of Americans more than 100 years ago. As we all know, Vivekananda died young at just 39, but he left a lasting legacy of philanthropy and spiritual philosophy. Before his death, he wrote to a Western follower, "It may be that I shall find it good to get outside of my body, to cast it off like a worn-out garment, but I shall not cease to work. I shall inspire man everywhere until the whole world shall know that it is one with God." What a prophetic statement. We all know how wide-ranging and lasting is Vivekananda's inspiration. This is where my third story begins. A story that is yet to unfold with the help of people like you and me and the rest of the world. With the inspiration from Swami Vivekananda, this is the story of the future that we need to build. Swami Vivekananda drove his pluralist views with the call for an universal religion in his 1893 Chicago speech, without claiming the superiority or admitting the inferiority of his own religion. Instead, he proposed a genuine togetherness of all religions. He said, "If anybody dreams of the exclusive survival of his own religion and the destruction of the others, I pity him from the bottom of my heart and point out to him that upon the banner of every religion will soon be written, in spite of resistance, help and not fight, assimilation and not distraction, harmony and peace but not dissension." Here is the message, here is the secret of Vivekananda's message: to fight the clash of civilization, because clash of civilization is not a choice for us. We have to create a friendship of civilization. And what I want to show you here, I have written a book recently, it's called God's Facebook, where I have taken Vivekananda's ideas and basically promoted how can we build a friendship of civilization in a terror-ridden world. So, I proposed a new paradigm based on Vivekananda's theory. I called it the House of Friendship of Civilizations. It stands on 4 pillars. The pillars are geographic luck, personal character, honest communication, and religious pluralism. This house stands on the foundation of dignity of difference, and base that binds the 4 pillars is the overlapping consensus. The roof of the house is the compassionate God. Let me first explain the 4 pillars. Pillar 1, geographic luck. The first change in our mindset is to remind ourselves every day that our God and our religious affiliations are an outcome of geographic luck in more than 90% of the cases. If we are born in Bangladesh or Pakistan, we would most likely be Muslims. In India, Hindus. In USA or Italy, Christian. in Japan or China, Buddhist, Shintoist, or Confucianist. We should also acknowledge at the same time that this geographic luck is complemented by the accident of birth, religion of our parents. In absence of this geographic luck mindset, we often tend to compare our religion with the worst of the other religion. This is a mistake that fuels the irrational belief about the superiority of our own religion over the other and causes a lot of trouble. This pillar is consistent with what Vivekananda uttered in his 1893 speech in Chicago. Pillar 2, personal character. The second change that we need to make in our mindset is to focus on attaining the personal qualities that our religion extols and our God demands from us. It is clear that all religions speak of God's love for human personal virtue, of good deeds, humility, compassion, charity, love, and tolerance. Why should we call ourselves Christian, Muslim, Hindus, Buddhists, or Jews if we are not following the basic tenets of the religious that we are proud of? Is being born a Christian or Muslim enough? Or is our true religion is what we actually practice in our personal life? It's a truism to say that if we are to believe only half of the desirable virtues mandated in the religious scriptures, it would take us a lifetime. Even those who do not believe in any God should practice the morality and virtue to which they subscribe. A focus on personal character building, rather than proving who is right and who is not, will move us away from the pride and begin our journey to humility. As Tagore said, "Tumay pujar chole, tumay bhulei thaki. Kaj ki amar mondirete anagunai, patbo ason napon moner ekti kunai, sorol prane nirab hoye tumay daki." Pillar 3, honest communication. The third change we need to make in our mindset is to communicate honestly about our own religion. One of the dangerous tendencies among religious scholars and practitioners alike is to be defensive when objections are raised about a specific element of their own religion. In the defensive mode, they often intentionally hide some uncomfortable truths because all religious scriptures contain both benevolent and belligerent viewpoints. Therefore, any effort to prove a particular religion is all evil or all peace is futile. It only undermines honest communication and provides fodder for attack from the other religious camps. Through an honest communication, we can create an environment of mutual trust and respect. Pillar 4 is religious pluralism. The fourth change we need to make in our mindset is to recognize that the biggest barrier to the friendship is the fear of the unfamiliar, fomented by the propaganda machines of religious supremacists and by the acts of terror of religious fundamentalists. However, it would be naive to assume that all humans will unite under one God. The plurality of religions is as much a reality as the plurality of nations and cultures. Swami Vivekananda in 1893, when talking about universal religions, said, "The Christian is not to become a Hindu or a Buddhist, nor a Hindu or a Buddhist to become Christian, but each must assimilate the spirit of the others and yet preserve his individuality and grow according to his own law of growth." The foundation of this house of friendship of civilization is the dignity of difference. The four changes in our mindset that are discussed above will also help us build the house of friendship of civilization on a strong foundation of dignity of difference, a term coined by American Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. In a globalized world with economic and cultural disparity and discontent, it is not enough to search for values common to all faiths. It is necessary to reframe the way we see the differences among all faith and culture and revel in the dignity and the diversity of the differences among different belief systems. The roof of this house of friendship of civilization is the overlapping consensus. These four changes in our mindset discussed above will facilitate the building of the overlapping consensus among different religions. Harvard professor John Rawls realized that in a society where citizens are deeply divided by conflicting but well-conceived comprehensive doctrines, the mere tolerance of each other's ideology is not sufficient to create a stable and just society. Instead, the citizens must seek an overall consensus and agree to a set of principles which can be supported on moral grounds from the respective doctrines. This overlapping consensus approach provides a framework for cooperation in a pluralistic society without compromising its plural character, one of the things Vivekananda emphasized in his lecture in 1893. Now the ending part of my lecture. Swami Vivekananda ended in his 1893 speech at the World Parliament of Religions with these words: "I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of fanaticism, of all persecutions with a sword or with a pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal." Vivekananda's hope had not materialized in the 100 years following his plea. Instead, fanaticism, an ancient social disease that has killed millions, continued with new fervor in the name of both religion and irreligion, causing untold human misery in the following centuries. However, the opportunity is now knocking at the door of us to change the course of history by breaking the tribe mentality of different religions. Recall what another great Bengali, Rabindranath Tagore, said in a 1930 lecture at Oxford University. Tagore said, "The God of humanity has arrived at the gates of the ruined temple of the tribe. Though he has not yet found his altar, I ask the man of simple faith, wherever they may be in the world, to bring their offering of sacrifice to him and to believe that it is better to be wise and worshipful than to be clever and supercilious." Tagore also said, "I ask them to claim the right of manhood to be friends of man, and not the right of a particular proud race or nation or a religion which may boast of the fatal quality of being the rulers of man. We should know for certain that such rulers will no longer be tolerated in the new world as it basks in the open sunlight of mind and breathes life's free air." That was Tagore told in 1930 at the Oxford University. Therefore, I urge all of you to join me in saluting Vivekananda and making a commitment to welcome the God of humanity and build a house of friendship of civilizations for our future generations. Let us rekindle the flame that Vivekananda lit more than 100 years ago and carry forward his message to create a brand new world of harmony of religion, as he used to say. Each of us has a role to play in our own way by changing our mindset. And let us not ignore the power of the individual ideas which makes North America a great country. Thank you all for your patient listening.
And a pleasant surprise, Saquib Nazmusের কথা শুনে মনে হলো যে একজন সাকসেসফুল ইঞ্জিনিয়ার জীবনে এইভাবে চিন্তা করছেন নানাভাবে। আচ্ছা, এবারে আমি অনুরোধ করব অধ্যাপক সীতাঙ্কী চক্রবর্তীকে এখানে আসতে। পরে আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে,
আমি এখান থেকেই কথা বলতে।